I hope everyone is back with some vigor and energy after eating that lunch. So let's start with the proceedings and the second phase of the conference. We will start with the panel discussion on skilling for the 5G economy. For this session, I would like to invite upon stage Love Bhardwaj. Love Bhardwaj is an NCVET senior consultant. He is the nodal for policy design and development in the subjects like future skills, cross sectoral skills, blending learning, and other emerging aspects of policy in skilling at the National Skills Regulator. He is ex Niti Aayog and has avid interest in public policy design, monitoring, and evaluation, among other subjects. He shall be representing NCVET on behalf of the chairperson today. Welcome to the forum, Mr. Bhardwaj. Our next panelist, Professor Ranjan Banerjee, Director, IIT Delhi. Professor Rangan Banerjee is currently the Director, IIT Delhi. In IIT Bombay, he served as the Forbes Marshall Chair Professor in the Department of Energy and Science and Engineering, a department that has helped start in 2007. His areas of interest include energy management, modeling of energy systems, energy planning and policy, hydrogen energy, and fuel cells. With so much energy, I am hoping, Professor Banerjee, you're going to spread that energy across in this room. Let's welcome Professor Banerjee. Our third panelist on this session is Arvind Bali, CEO, TSSC. Arvind Bali, an accomplished business leader with 35 plus years expertise in management of various business streams with globally respected outcomes. He has handled businesses in 50 plus countries for over 2 decades. Arvind is an MBA from FMS Delhi University and graduate with honors in mechanical engineering from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. Welcome to the forum, Mr. Bali. Our next panelist for this session is N.K. Goyal, President, TEMA. President, CMAI Association of India, having 48,500 members and 74 MOU partners worldwide. Chairman Emeritus, Telecom Equipment Manufacturing Association of India. Vice Chairman, International Telecom Union, APT India. Member, Governing Board, Telecom Equipment and Services. Export Promotion Council. Director, National Fertilizers Limited. Associated with several industry associations, he has represented numerous government committees, groups, and is a very deeply involved a person in policy formulations on telecom, mobile, IT, and education. Welcome you to the forum, Mr. Goyal. And the session will be moderated by Sukanta Day from Sdela Consulting. Can we have Sukanta on stage, please? And over to you, Mr. Day.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm grateful to Voice and Data for organizing this all-important and most difficult sort of panel discussion. Skilling, as you know, for the 5G is a very important requirement and something which is not that easy to do. Uh, in a country where we have primarily always had industry leading the new age equipments and technology, this was the first time in the history of India, as I can remember, that the indigenous testbed of the 5G technology was done at IIT Madras with the combined effort of all the other IITs. It was the first time a new type of system has been held where the educational institution is doing the research and test bedding such an important sector which in the telecommunication industry. So 5G is just not telecom, it is far beyond that, because 5G will be driving what is known as all the elements of the fourth industrial revolution, which is, everybody knows, IoT, ML, AI, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, machine learning, and so on and so forth. It's a vast array of various parameters which is already in session for the last almost 5 to 10 years in India. India has adopted all elements of the fourth industrial revolution with the vigor which has been done in developed countries like the US, Western Europe, Japan, Korea, etc. So India is not behind. India is way in deep into all these sectors. And the key driver of that will be 5G. And with that, I have a very eminent panel over here, as you can make out. You have the stalwarts of and leaders of the nuggets of the educational verticals which will drive the skilling in 5G. And without, as we have shortage of time, we will just go directly into the questions. I'd like to start immediately with Mr. Love Bhardwaj, who is from the National Council of the Vocational Educational Training of Government of India. And I would like to ask him, how can the educational value chain be made more inclusive to achieve the skilling requirement for the new age jobs, like in the 5G, which will drive the fourth industrial revolution? These are completely new subjects. The technology is new, the use cases are new, and the application in the industry and agriculture is completely going to be a new thing which the country will handle. And obviously, as in any society, we are a very complex country, unlike the US and Western Europe, where there's a lot of standardization. The US has one language almost all throughout, where we have so many languages. We have rural areas, we have urban areas, we have small towns, big towns. So it's a very unhomogeneous landscape, and the various use cases and various industries and in agricultural field will be completely different from what is there in the Western world. So we have to adapt these technologies into the fourth industrial revolution, relevant to our economy and relevant to our society. Over to you, Mr. Bharadwaj.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, it's my pleasure to be a part of the panel where I'm the youngest of the lot and having stalwarts sitting with me. So I'm truly delighted. Thank you for the question, sir. Addressing it in parts. Since the National Skills Regulator came into existence post Genesis, which was almost 3 years back, the National Skills Qualifications Framework, which is the main framework looking after the various skill qualifications in the country, in the nation, has been incorporating the future technology areas, not just the future technology areas, but also the future skilling areas. When we say future skills, it primarily has the connotation of technology, but I would say that we are looking at it as a larger segment than rather technology. Technology being the primarily the largest of it. So the National Skills Qualification Framework has been addressed in a certain way where the qualifications are designed across levels, and we also at the same time recognize a lot of awarding bodies and assessment agencies in the skilling ecosystem where the future skills are being incorporated heavily. If you look at the last 5 to 6 national skills qualification committee meetings where the qualifications for the country are approved, which are pertaining skilling, we can see around 250 plus courses which are to do with IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, 5G, 6G, etc. So in the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and Chairperson, which is Industry 4.0 and beyond, which includes Industry 5.0 as well, we have empowered rather the awarding bodies to develop the qualifications in areas which are cross-cutting at the center of technological evolution. For example, as the esteemed moderator mentioned, that it is not just the core area or the core sector where the technology makes an impact, it is also the cross-cutting or the cross-sectoral aspect of it. For example, in agriculture, if you see, we're moving towards drone technology, we're moving towards precision agriculture, we're using telecom heavily. So all this, keeping in mind, we are actually at the National Skills Regulator, which is under the aegis of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, under the leadership of Dr. Kalsi, who was to be here for the meeting today. We are developing courses which cut across various sectors and have incorporating all the technologies, be it 5G, 6G, or be it a drone, be it electronics manufacturing, and the like. So thank you, sir.
Thanks for the opening remarks, Mr. Bharadwaj. And it's very encouraging to note that the government is completely seized of this problem, and your organization has done more than 250 courses. And the cross-sectoral and the cross-functional aspect of it is what is really completely a new game in both the 5G world as well as the fourth industrial revolution. Dr. Arvind Bali is, of course, a very well-known figure in the Telecom Sector Skill Council. He heads that, and he has been the leader in this segment for a while. And they have, their report says that there is already a demand gap of nearly 28% of the skilled persons required. And I'm sure this demand gap will go on increasing as the rollout happens. So I'd like to request Dr. Bali to please tell us a little bit about how they are planning to reduce this demand supply gap. And it is expected that the talent gap will continue to widen with the 5G rollout. Your thoughts, sir?
Thank you. And thank you, Voice and Rita, for inviting me here today. As always, pleasure. I enjoy it. As far as 5G scaling is concerned, I think, first of all, as a telecom industry, I think we have a big advantage that whatsoever is happening, it is happening in a very structured manner. And also, we have got most of the companies who are well structured, well organized, and like everything is there in place. And also, when the new technology comes, I think we get a really long head up. We really come to know well in advance that this is going to happen. And you all have been hearing for a long time that 5G auction will happen. So when we were hearing that 5G auctions are going to come, and we were in touch with all leading players, and this time, I think I'm very happy to share it with you. This time from government side, there was so much of participation on this aspect. Our Secretary DOT, he had already conducted 5 or 6 meetings with our council itself. Then Dr. Kalsi himself, NCVET, I think for last 1 year, he has been talking that we should have 5G courses. And MSDE Secretary, Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, he also takes so much of interest that on future skills and 5G, I think we should be well prepared, because this is a technology which is going to help the nation in exponential growth. And that is what I think we all are expecting. So thankfully, with all the support from the industry, and also the push and support which we got from our lead ministries, uh, 6 or 8 months in advance, we prepared all the qualification packs. We prepared all the QPs. And as you all know that 5G is not just limited to networks or infrastructure and technology. 5G also is going to ultimately be a big use case, right? There will be usages like drone technology, machine learning, um, and then all other related technologies which are going to work on 5G, connected devices, etc. So we have not only developed QPs for per se technology, we have also developed QPs which are related to this. And there's also a very good concept which I like to share with you, which has been introduced by NCVT and the present ecosystem. All our qualification packs have got different noses. Like if there is one qualification pack, there are 5 to 6 different chapters, as you can say in a simpler term. So lot of 5G related courses will be moving across the sectors. It will be going to agri sector, it will be going to health sector, it will be going to automobile sector. So we have uh, like QPs which are on telemedicine or connected vehicles and all that stuff. So I'm very happy to share it with you that as far as skilling part is concerned, I think we are very well equipped. Over and above that, we are also going to set up 10 center of excellence within this financial year. As a team, this telecom sector has committed that 2 have already come, another 8 are going to come. So all this work is happening. So maybe in my next question, I'll take some additional points from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bali, for all your observations. It's glad to know that nearly 10 centers of excellence are being set up. There are a lot of labs which are also being set up by you. And the fact that you are going to various sectors, use cases like the health, agriculture, etc., are all important milestones in reducing the demand and the supply gap of skilled persons in this industry. I would now like to request Dr. Rangan Banerjee, Director of IIT Delhi. And as you know, the indigenous 5G test was done in IIT Madras along with the combined efforts of all IITs. I am an IIT alumni, so I'm very proud of that. So may I request Dr. Banerjee to talk a little bit about this how they got about sort of spearheading this whole indigenous testbed, and what are some of the other initiatives that are driving innovation for the new age technologies. Over to you, Dr. Bali.
Good afternoon. So, good afternoon. The 5G test bed was an initiative which was funded by the Ministry of Telecom, and it was an initiative where IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Hyderabad, ISC, and Samir got together, and we basically worked on all aspects of both the software and the hardware, and the test bed has been launched. We at IIT Delhi have a number of components of this test bed, and in the process of creating the test bed, not only have we been looking at we build up the capability in terms of research capability. We have also been able to look at standards. We've been able to look at security, a number of issues related to access, wireless access. So there are a lot of learnings in this. This test bed is now available, and the issue is how, of course, this will result in the hardware and the software actually scaling and seeing large-scale adoption. At IIT Delhi, we have a Bharati School of Telecom, and that is the main focus, where we have faculty colleagues from different departments coming and working on various aspects of telecom. We have articulated 5G and beyond, and we are looking at essentially projects where some of our projects are in the 6G interface. We are looking at multiple use cases. We are looking at the network of smart sensors for energy and pollution and air quality. We are looking at healthcare. We are looking at interfacing with drones. We are looking at the 6G infrastructure for Industry 4.0, gaming and entertainment, and then also majorly in terms of imaging and healthcare. So there are many different, we have a vision, and we have an articulation of looking at individual projects run by faculty members and putting it together to create a larger impact. We are seeing how we can interface with industry for this, because the whole challenge is about translation. We have research projects. Many of these research projects are also done with defense. With DRDO and the Navy and the Army, we have actually, in terms of specialized projects related to communication, high-speed mobile networks, a whole host of things. But often what we find is that we have this capability, we are getting researchers, we have a master's program, an MTech in telecom technology and management. We have a MSR, Master of Science in Research, and a PhD program. But often all our graduates, skilled graduates, are picked up by the international industry and not the indigenous Indian industry. So the challenge is for us to see two challenges. One is to see that how we interface the research with industry and create a pathway where we can actually build a competitive advantage for Indian industry. And we also need to see that we can attract our students and take them in so that they can actually make an impact. But this is a very exciting time for the telecom sector, and we are looking at not just the telecom hardware and software, but we are also looking at the use cases and the algorithms, so that using 5G and beyond, whether it is 5G or 6G, we can actually see that we really make a difference in the lives of people in society. So I'll stop here and come back later on some other issue.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banerjee. I think it's heartening to note that you have been able to create a very high level of talent base and the very fact that international institutions and organizations are looking at the talent which you have created is a testimony of the quality. And as you rightly said, the important thing is to create a pathway so that this talent gets funneled into the Indian system. You also talked about security, which I think is a very important aspect. That's a subject in itself. Very important aspect of this entire on the 5G revolution, because without security, a lot of things are going to get sort of centralized. And so, without security, if somebody has access to that central structure, then you will be in deep trouble if you don't have the necessary firewalls and the security. I would now like to request Dr. N.K. Goyal. He has a very interesting concept. I attended a couple of his meetings where he says that every Indian, we have 1.3 billion, large population in India. Every Indian has a right to connect. So he created a right to connect campaign. That means every India has a right to access to the internet. And access to the internet means obviously a better standard of living for the individual who's able to do it, because he can work, live, learn everything from the internet and from the mobile telephony. So I'd like to request him to throw some light on the Right to Connect campaign, he's actually the founder of that campaign. Over to you, Dr. Goyal.
थैंक्स अ लॉट। गुप्ता जी की एक क्वालिटी है, ये उनको इकट्ठा कर देते हैं जो डिफिकल्ट होते हैं। IIT, TSSC, NCVET all together with a humble man like me. But before I answer right to connect, I want to say a few things. Sir, in India, typically we always have faced dichotomy. India versus Bharat, standard example hai. On the one side, the government of India itself has given money for test beds in 4-5 IITs. On the other side, the same DOT body TEC is hunting for test labs for 5G. And they have exempted not only 5G but any mobile handset or mobile equipment from testing because there are no test labs. So my first dichotomy is what prevents DOT itself to announce their own funded labs as a lab, so that TC can start the testing. And you will also have the real feeling of the industries coming up. I don't know why they are stopping it. When it comes to research projects, as you said, we also discussed before that, second point was, India is capable component of developing any research anytime. I remember 6-7 years back when there was no 3G. There was a meeting with the minister and they said, we want to have 3G. At that time, we were just having 2G. How much money you want? I said, I want zero money. Even today, I want zero money for 6G. I'm making a statement with full conscience. I want zero money for 6G. But what I want is access to market. If we have made 4G domestically in India, we have failed to give them access to the BSNL or any private operators. Research तो हम कर लेंगे, माल किसको बेचेंगे? That is a disconnect we have. And about skilling, I mean, wonderful plans, MSD, NCVT, earlier SDC, TSSC, they are doing good job. I mean, extremely good job. One dichotomy. What prevents us to proliferate this to the standard education systems, where we teach BTech, MTech, etc., etc.? Why you cannot have a program jointly with the universities, or this goes to students who are the upcoming? And third dichotomy, every second week or third week, a new term will come. Sometime AI, sometime IoT, sometime this, sometime this, sometime this. We still are grappling with 5G and talking of 6G. India wants to become leader in the world for 6G. Because I deal with education institutes, around 1 lakh of them are with me. I am advisor to around 18 vice chancellors. Technology जो बनाते हैं ना, they are sitting somewhere else. And they will have a word tomorrow coined XYZ. How does a professor, a teacher sitting in Madras or Timbuktu or Jharkhand knows these technologies? Always disconnect. Now, having said these things, now right to connect. We have been pushed into digital era, one because of COVID, another because of government policies. Very nice. We have survived COVID. The only country survived very nicely. Everything is now on digital, everything. I don't name the things, but digital. The problem is, line तो मिलती नहीं है, phone तो मिलता नहीं है, internet तो है नहीं. I'm borrowing some sentences from the next speaker which will be coming here. He said there are 300 million households in India. Only 3 million has high broadband. And we know. So Right to Connect was just a campaign we wanted to have, is that मेरा right है भाई मुझे phone दिया जाए. जैसे डिमांड करता है ना, हमें बिजली चाहिए, इलेक्शन में पानी चाहिए, रोड चाहिए, वो इंटरनेट चाहिए. But we are not getting much success in that, let me tell you. Why? Because there are no commercial engagement involved. But there is a great need for this thing. And now, only few weeks back, we heard government was to impose some digital fees on every transaction. Now, if I am a very ordinary citizen, मैं गांव में रहता हूँ, मुझे तो डिजिटल की जरूरत ही नहीं ना. मैं तो पेमेंट कैश दे दूंगा गुप्ता जी को या बाली जी को या हरदास जी को. आप मुझे फोर्स कर रहे हो कि मैं डिजिटल पेमेंट करूँ, फिर उसका पैसा भी दूँ. This was it. Thank you.
So much, Dr. Goyal. And this is always the disadvantage of technology. I have a big clock which is looking at me, and every second it's telling me you have to finish in time. So we have very little time, but I'd like to request very quickly for the summing up comments from Mr. Love Bhardwaj, please, to start with, on any point you want to discuss. At the end of the day, we still have a big gap, and the gap will go on increasing with the rollout. So we seek your help in how to reduce that skill gap.
So thank you so much for highlighting those dichotomies. I think I'll be in a very good position to answer at least one of them, which is, or at least we are attempting to do it, the adoption of skill qualifications in higher education. We are not only stopping at higher education, we are starting from school education. So, my Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Kalsi, is heading a committee of Government of India where the National Credit Framework is coming up. And that credit framework is actually going to seamlessly put candidates right from schooling to higher education to work stream, and interchangeably amongst these, they can actually travel from one to another because they will be accumulating credits in a credit bank. Now, coming to the dichotomy that you highlighted, sir, I'll be very happy to share that working with the regulator of technology, which is AICTE, a lot of sector skill councils, including Bali Sirs, which is Telecom Sector Skill Council, they are making qualifications which can be adopted in BTech curriculum, in BE curriculum, and similarly for other technology areas. The qualifications are being picked from higher levels and the lower levels as well, and being placed in different semesters of the engineering students so that they are well equipped about the new cross-cutting technology which is going to hit us maybe 2 or 5 years down the line, or is already in play, but it is emerging. That is one, sir. Apart from that, we are also happy to say, sir, that NCVET is a new age regulator. It also talks about blended learning. We have been developing guidelines of blended learning. I would request all the honorable ladies and gentlemen in this room and my fellow senior panelists that, sir, please go and have a look at these guidelines, because they're first of its kind, where the whole idea of where edutech companies have been operating in the country, the blended learning, online, offline model, and a mix of the same. As sir made a point that there should be network for all, rather. Similarly, there should be learning for all. So somebody who's sitting maybe in a tier 2 city but has access to the online interface being offered by some organization which is registered with one of our awarding bodies should not just not let skilling happen to him because he does not have access to the hard material or the course curriculum in print. So we are also doing that. But of course, sir, we are far from the actual outcome to take shape, and that will take another maybe, and in my opinion, not NCVT's opinion, another couple of years to make you satisfied about this is also happening in higher education and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's glad to learn about blended learning and that people from rural areas can also participate in the process. And Dr. Bali, quickly, if you can do your summing up comments, please.
Yeah, so I think one thing I like to share, because I've been in business for almost 40 years. Last 5, 6 years, especially the kind of work which is happening in government is unbelievable. I think private sector has to now learn from the kind of work which is happening in government sector, especially all the field where we are now interacting, whether it is DOT or MSDE or NCVET. I think unbelievable. I can tell you, I've seen such a great change there. Now, coming to skilling side, I think as far as government is concerned, they have done a lot of work. Now, I think a lot of responsibility comes back on private sector. What is expected now is that private sector, they always have a issue, like maybe a bit of planning issue. They need every manpower on yesterday basis, right? And then when they are doing that way, uh, they don't have enough time to skill people. And then most of the time, you end up doing skilling on the job. If you are doing fiber laying, a splicer, you just hold any laborer, just tell him that ustad isko dekho kaise karte hain, aur 2-3 din ke baad that laborer becomes an expert. Whereas, we have got so many institutes. For 15,000 ITIs, there are 7,000 different colleges, engineering colleges, everywhere. There are centers, but still, that is the way it is working. So as a telecom sector skill council, we are trying to act as a big bridge between industry and academia or training center side. We are now trying to proactively train people so that, industries, this demand on yesterday basis, I think, so on basis of some planning, we start providing. So I think we have got so many senior people sitting here from the industry. I'll request them, urge them that, like approach us. Any kind of skilling you need, any level of skilling you need, I think we are very well equipped to provide that. Thank you.
Dr. Bali, you're right. There are so many engineering colleges and so much of talent available, but the idea is to all hone it together and make it work. Dr. Banerjee, your final comments, sir?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we need to do is we need to proactively look at what are the needs for the future engineer managers in the telecom sector. And we need to work together with the industry to reskill the existing workforce as well as to create the future workforce, and to see that the future workforce that we create who are actually future ready are getting the jobs in the Indian industry so that we can make a competitive, we can have a competitive advantage. I think also startups will have a big role. And we currently are running a 6-month startup boot camp where there are a number of startups who are looking at the telecom sector. So I think we need to visualize and be proactive about the future, both in terms of creating the technology, the R&D, and seeing the use cases which will make a difference where our industry can have a competitive advantage. And together with we at IIT Delhi are very clear that we want to enhance our impact. We are looking at a 360-degree curriculum review of all our curriculum. And we would like to see that we work with industry and see that we can make a greater impact where we can fulfill our role in society.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banerjee. I think curriculum review is a very important thing. And curriculum review is a continuous work. It's not that you do it once in 5 years and then you stop and then you again start after 5 years. No, it's a continuous thing. I'm sure all of you are better aware of it than me. And finally, Dr. Goyal, may I request you to make your closing comments, please?
So two things. One, I was miser not saying so, but Bali ji is correct. जो आजकल का टाइम है इंडिया में कभी नहीं था, ऊपर से नीचे तक मंत्री संतरी सरकार सेक्रेटरी ऑफिसर एवरीबॉडी helpful. We have lots of successes to our credit. 4G, we have people sitting here, they have made in India 5G stick for the first time. We have got 5G I into 5G. Lots of success stories are there. So that is the one part. Second part, right to connect में हम किसका इंतजार कर रहे हैं? हम पे सैटेलाइट है, अलाउ कर दो ना, कल लगाना कल से उसको. मुझे तो फोन चाहिए, वॉइस या एसएमएस, चाहे 2G हो, चाहे 1G हो, चाहे वो 0G हो, चाहे सैटेलाइट हो. थैंक यू.
Thank you so much, all of you. The time is, of course, up, and I have to hand over. Thank you, all my esteemed panelists. Thank you, Voice and Data. I'd like to hand over to the organizers of the conference.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for this wonderful session. May I call on stage PG to please felicitate all our panelists with mementos of appreciation for the time that they have given to us. Thank you once again. Thank you so much, gentlemen.